So if you watch a lot of news media, the world is ending or something like that, probably. I couldn't confirm or deny this. But what we are going to talk about in this video are bunker plans for World War III, how you would engineer a bunker, a brief history of bunkers, engineering of bunkers, and if they can actually protect you and your family during a catastrophic event.
Hello there. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Todun, founder of WWIII, a design engineering and construction company. We like to make videos that educate about people, history, places, and ideas that build the future. Before you continue this video, consider subscribing to our channel. We have a $50 giveaway for 5 lucky people when we reach 1,000 subscribers. So help us reach that goal, because we have a couple of really fun events and giveaways planned after we get to 1,000 subscribers. So don't forget to turn on notifications and stay updated.
If you don't know anything about bunkers, not to worry, I will elaborate. See, bunkers are not a new concept at all. They've been part of warfare tech since World War I and are currently a staple of military defense lines globally. And not even just World War I. I mean, we can date bunkers right down to the medieval century. By definition, a bunker is a reinforced underground shelter. Bunkers can provide protection from natural or man-made disasters and crises other than war. Bunkers are quite similar to safe rooms, the only difference being safe rooms may not necessarily be defined as being underground, but generally they are both buildings that are supposed to be invulnerable to attack or intrusion, and they can be within the home or outside of the home. However, for this video we will be using bunkers and safe rooms interchangeably because they essentially have very similar engineering and essentially for the same concept. Typically, a bunker or safe room must have its door be as strong as the walls. And since bunkers are typically supposed to be inhabited for prolonged periods, there must be large amounts of ventilation or air conditioning. Bunkers may be able to be destroyed by really powerful explosives, but they can and do provide protection and delay destruction. While bunkers are a staple of defense owned by military, more and more civilians and celebrities as well are building bunkers and all manner of safe rooms. I think recently Elon Musk had like a bunker or something like that. I'll try to find that and I'll pin this in the comments, if you guys are interested in that story. Well, loads of people are getting bunkers. Everyone is scared about the world ending, about World War III. So we're all getting ready with luxury bunkers. I guess that's what's going to save the world, huh? Alright, before we talk about why more regular people are building bunkers, let's just dive into a little bit of history. The history of bunkers goes as far back as the Younger Dryas period, which was a period in Earth's geological history that occurred circa 12,900 to 11,700 years before the present. It is primarily known as the sudden or abrupt cooling in the northern hemisphere when the North Atlantic Ocean cooled and annual air temperatures decreased by 3 degrees. During this period in time, humans moved underground, forming the underground cities of Turkish. And while we cannot date exactly when this city was formed, it is believed to have been formed during this period. And that is not the only ancient recording of bunkers, as during the Middle Ages, castles had a castle keep, a fortified tower built within the castles during the Middle Ages by nobilities. They were used as refuge of last resort should the rest of the castle fall to adversaries. The first keeps were made of timber. Then Anglo-Normans and French rulers began to build stone keeps during the 10th and 11th centuries, including Norman keeps with square or rectangular design and circle shell keeps. So these were called keeps. I know what I'm describing and not exactly what we typically define as bunkers today. They are basically the earliest examples we have of human beings seeking security through fortification of enclaves and underground tunnels. Stone keeps carried considerable political as well as military importance and would take a decade or more to build, which is around 10 years. If you ever watched Game of Thrones, the Red Keep is described as the first residence of the King of the Andals and the First Men, his family and his court, and is said to have withstood multiple dragon attacks as a demonstration of its strength. And even though this is fictional, it just gives you an example of what keeps were supposed to signify and how they precede bunkers. Anyway, in World War I, bunkers were used in World War I to store weapons and ammunition and as quarters for soldiers. They were built from local materials like sand, gravel, turf, rocks, and lumber, and sometimes concrete. Bunkers like Princeton in New York, in Belgium, in Latvia, were all built during World War I. During the horrific World War II, bunkers were essentially command centers where military leaders made strategies and coordinated the movements. These rooms were equipped with communication devices such as telephones, radios, and telegraphs, all to remain contact with the frontline units and headquarters. Command centers were staffed by officers who worked tirelessly to ensure the smooth execution of military operations. Bunkers would also serve as shelter houses for soldiers during times of prolonged sieges. While in Japan, large underground complexes in Yokosuka City, called Kiyama Underground Bunker, was built by the Yokosuka Naval Air Corps during the World War II. By 1960, during the Cold War, nearly 70% of all American adults believed that nuclear war was imminent, and an estimated 200,000 shelters were built. In the early 2000s, the response to 9/11 and the subsequent anthrax poisonings led to fears of civil unrest and war, and the construction of bunkers increased again. The ultra-rich began to purchase bunkers that were originally built by governments. These bunkers are often designed to be blast-resistant, airtight, capable of generating their own power. During COVID-19, of course, there was a rise in the sales of underground bunkers and survival equipment, as many feared the pandemic will cause catastrophe and drain resources. Since the onset of the ongoing Ukrainian war, citizens in Ukraine have documented day-in-the-life videos of living in a bunker and other safe rooms, as miners continue to provide resistance through building to Russia's invasion. Today, Japan is building civilian bomb shelters in the municipalities of Ishigaki, Miyakojima, Yanaguni, Taketomi, and Tarama. These shelters will have thick steel reinforced concrete walls and can store food and water for at least 2 weeks. There are so many different types of bunkers. And while bunkers and safe rooms can really differ in quality by cost, it's possible to create a bunker on a minimum budget as long as you take into consideration these important elements of engineering a bunker. So the first consideration is picking a location. Putting a bunker in a safe room directly in sight would be completely foolish. Bunkers should typically be hidden in safe areas where they can't be entered easily and they can be entered and exited discreetly so as not to draw danger. Some safe rooms are hidden behind a false wall. Some bunkers are hidden in the backyard. They'll be hidden under a disguise. And just a lot of ways that draws away danger. Regardless of whether you're creating or building your bunker underground or above the ground, The walls need to be reinforced to withstand attacks and invasions. If this is an underground bunker, we must analyze the soil composition and stability of the site where the bunker will be built. Since we need to dig further into the soil and we may need to break up hardened soil, it is crucial to understand where the bunker is going to be built so we can understand the soil structure so it can hold the immense weight of the bunker so the bunker doesn't shift within the soil, sink within the soil. And other dangerous situations. Bunker walls and foundations are thicker than regular walls and are usually reinforced with a thick wall of steel and concrete to add an extra layer of security and protection. This means utilizing unique load calculations for the bearing and struts, which will now carry heavier load capacity. In designing the load bearing, we must consider natural disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes to potential impacts or blasts. We can use pozzolanic cement, which provides exceptional strength to withstand extreme stresses, while sulfate-resistant cement is ideal for environments with high sulfate content. A low-heat cement minimizes cracking during the construction of thick concrete structures. Sulfate-resistant cements, those are low with tricalcium silicate. This cement resists degradation in high sulfate environments, which makes it really suitable for underground construction, which will likely absorb more water from the surrounding soil, as well as more elements. The doors of the bunker also need to be as thick as walls and should also be able to filter air when it's open and closed so oxygen can circulate freely. And also, since chemical warfare is an important element of walls today, you would need a bullet-resistant door with internal steel framing which can weigh several hundred pounds. Yet it must operate smoothly, easily, and without fail in an emergency. The hardware must be selected to provide substantial secure locking without compromising the smooth operation of the door itself. Most importantly, we must allow the door to be secured quickly, preferably with a single control point. And you must make sure whatever hardware you use to operate the bunker or the safe room can't be overridden from outside. Like I've mentioned already, filtering the air is really important because once you're underground, there is limited amount of oxygen compared to when you're above ground. And even in a safe room, there is still limited amount of oxygen because the safe room needs to be closed at all times. So they're essentially these machines called scrubbers you can install into your shelters or your bunkers, and it really purifies the air, removes carbon dioxide, takes carbon dioxide out of the air, and that really does help with the air circulation. Next, you have to worry about insulation. Between the concrete and the steel, you must install insulation between that and the actual space to reduce the amount of moisture within the bunker. Like I've mentioned, once a bunker is underground, it's going to absorb more water compared to when it's above ground because the ground absorbs more water. You may also reinforce the walls of the bunker with Kevlar. And Kevlar is a bullet-resistant material, which you can watch our video about its invention right here. In addition, you must also create an appropriate drainage and power system to maintain functionality of the bunker for its inhabitants. And you must do this remembering that, again, you're underground, and that means there's more absorption of water. So you have to be careful with whatever power system you are installing. And you also have to be careful with the drainage system. Since you're already underground, digging even deeper to create a sewage system might be quite difficult. So those are all considerations you have to make. Relevant considerations outside of engineering have to do with power generation, sound insulation, you want to be quiet, setting up cameras, any monitoring systems, food, setting up communication devices, flashlights, sanitation material, weapons, gas masks, and maybe a first aid kit. Additional safety precautions for a bunker include ventilation from time to time, regardless, especially when they're locked. When you're not using it, you have to ventilate it from time to time. ensuring that it's kept secret, ensuring it's kept stocked. Anyway, in conclusion, while we do hope World War III isn't on the horizon anytime soon, you can be prepared. So you can check that out. We do some consultation on if you want to get further information on bunker engineering. You can just check any of our links in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other suggestions, maybe you have even built a bunker or a safe house, you should comment and let us know how that's going for you. And if you're in Ukraine in a bunker, stay strong. Hopefully this all ends soon and we can have some semblance of peace.
Thank you so much for getting us to 100 subscribers. You can now get us to 1,000 subscribers and be one of 5 people to win our $50 giveaway. Also, if you would like to support this channel so we can keep making videos like this, feel free to check out any of the links in our description and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for watching!